What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Footy Review. We're talking UCL week number 2, and let's get into Group H, which is the group with PSG, Juve, and Benfica. And we're going to start with Juve versus Benfica because the true competition in this group is between Juve and Benfica. So now we get the actual head-to-head match, and Benfica pulls up with the win 2-1. Yo, I think Juve is just on the decline. I mean, we just got to face the facts. Juve is on the decline. Their play is looking very stagnant, and it seems like this Juve team is floundering. And I mean, we'll stay with the Champions League, but even if you look at the Italian league, the two Milan teams are back. Napoli looks really good. Atalanta is tied for first place. I think overall the Serie A is on the ascendancy, but Juve is on the decline. They're not contenders for the Champions League this year. I mean, if we're just keeping it real.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that, they're on decline, like you said, in the Italian league. We were just singing the Italian league's praises for some of the other teams or the other groups. But Juve is not one of those teams. They're in 8th place in the league, and they looked bad in this game. Benfica was the better team. They looked more dangerous. They were creating more chances. They were just the better team. And it's unfortunate to see, but this is the way soccer goes.
They just had a set piece goal early in the game, and other than that, they didn't offer really anything.
And I mean, it's sad to see, but that's the way soccer goes. Sometimes you're great, sometimes you're not, and some teams see that more than others. Juve is a team that you don't really see that happen to, but here we are, and it's happening. So it doesn't look good for Juve at all. I think they're sitting at the bottom of the table, like you said, with Maccabi Haifa tied for last, 0 points. And, the only reason that they're there is because they have a better goal difference, but it's still negative. So, Maccabi Haifa, and, it's interesting because Maccabi Haifa, for whatever you may say about them, how they're unknown, how, nobody really knows who they are, including myself, and how, they're probably just going to get run through. If you watched the PSG Maccabi game, they played well. Like, they didn't play bad. They had a lot of chances. So I'm really curious to see how Juve goes up against this Maccabi.
Yeah, they got to be careful. And the thing is, the back-to-back games is going to be Juve versus Maccabi Haifa. Juve needs 6 points from these two games. They need 6 points. Anything less, and they're already out. They need 6. And honestly, if I'm Juve, I'm kind of hoping that PSG starts to run away with it and gives Benfica 2 L's, because that way at least you're tied on point.
I think that's the only way. Yeah, I agree. I think that's the only way that they come away with it. Like you were about to say, that would leave them tied on points with Benfica. And that's exactly what they need. But if Juve doesn't win both these games, it's not going to go well for them. And honestly, I don't think they do. I think that it's going to be it could be tough for them to get 2 W's out of Maccabi Haifa, because they didn't look bad against PSG.
I agree. It's not going to be easy sailing for Juve. A lot of it's just not a dynamic looking team. And I was kind of thinking about for the last 10 years where Juve was clearly the dominant Italian team, they had like a 10-year stretch where they were always serious contenders for the Champions League, quarterfinals and semifinals every year, a couple of finals. They were never really able to take it over the line and actually get the Champions League. I think since the 90s was the last time that they really won. So now that Juve is in a phase where they clearly need a rebuild, it seems it's kind of like a lost opportunity looking back, that they had to capitalize in that period of time. And now, like, who knows what's going to happen? Some teams are never able to fully rebuild.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I know Juve is a historic team in Italy, but I mean, you never know what the future holds. They need to rebuild.
No, I agree. Never able to punch their ticket. And if I was one of the players in that 10-year stretch and I was still on that team, might be punching my own ticket right now. but no, I fully agree with you. And it's one of those teams where you could kind of see the slow decline over the years, where it's one of those things where they should have started rebuilding much earlier than they did, because they still have quite a few players that are very old. And I know they have some young players coming in, whatever, but you need to see that coming from 2, 3, 4 years ahead and start rebuilding before it even takes time. Before they take up too much time, and it looks like it's going to be a rough few years coming for Juventus unless they can make a big change in a big way soon. It was a bad game for them against Benfica. Benfica did look like the better team, so we'll see
I
what
will give
happens.
Juve one small caveat, but I don't think this will make a difference long term, especially for this Champions League. They don't have Pogba. Pogba's injured. He's barely going to make it to the World Cup if he makes it at all. And Di Maria didn't start the game. I did feel when Di Maria came on in the second half, there was a little bit more of a spark. Di Maria is a very good world-class player, especially he's known in the Champions League. He has a lot of Champions League experience. So they did it tick up a little bit when Di Maria came on. But the fact that they're not going to have Pogba for the group stage. So you got to get through the group. If Pogba is going to have any opportunity to play Champions League this year, he has to depend on the team to get through the group. And like you said, Maccabi Haifa, they're kind of a no-name team. Nobody really knows who they are, but they did put in a decent performance against PSG. So we can shift over to that game. PSG with a 3-1 win. Mbappe, Messi, and Neymar all scored. They were supposed to put the game away, and they did, but it was a little bit competitive for them, especially I would say like the first half. It was not a very like super straightforward, easy game for PSG.
Agreed. It was not super straight, easy forward for PSG. Maccabi Haifa actually did have quite a lot of chances, and the goal was a decent one. Nothing to go crazy about, but it was a decent goal. And Maccabi Haifa had their moments where they kind of looked like they were pushing the.
It was a good goal too. It was a great finish.
It was a good goal. But there was times where it kind of looked like they were kind of pushing PSG's defense around, even the way they were playing. Like a little disorganized, finding those gaps. And honestly, I think that this will be an interesting 2 games for PSG versus Benfica, especially and think about this, PSG beat a struggling Juve with 0 points, 2-1. Benfica comes in also 2-1. So I'm actually very curious to see how this game is going to go. And I think part of it is that, for as much money as PSG has spent over the years, I think that right now their team looks a little bit weaker than it has in the past. I think it's not as strong, as dominant. I think some of the players have gotten a little older and have gotten a little bit slower, especially they have players like Vitinho in the middle. Marquinhos is still there. It's now in the back. It's Ramos and Pereira, and they're all in their 30s. So, it's interesting to see. Well, Marquinhos is 28, but it's not the dominant lineup they used to have. Kind of with players like Thiago Silva, players like Angel Di Maria when he was there, Verratti when he was younger. They had players like Rabiot had a good 2-year stretch where he was a really good player. It just doesn't look like they have that bite that they could have or that they have had in the past. So I'm curious to see how PSG goes up against Benfica, because this game against Maccabi Haifa, I thought Maccabi Haifa played well, and
and Benfica has a little bit more quality, and
exactly. And this goes back to something that I've said before, where these smaller teams can't really afford the players that have that individual quality to kind of put it away. And that's what saved PSG today, is that they do have those kinds of players. Mbappe can just create a play out of nowhere, going down the wing, crossing and getting the ball to Messi. Neymar can just do something incredible and score the goal. Messi can just put an assist whenever. And then you have someone like Donnarumma in goal, who actually had to make a couple good saves in order to keep PSG from conceding more than one.
And too, PSG's strength obviously is that attacking trio of Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe. But at the same time, it creates a weakness, because now none of those 3 players are going to drop back and defend for you. So you essentially got to set up a team where you got the 3 players that are your superstars, and then the other 7 field players, they have to fill in for the defensive role and pick up the slack where they're not going to defend from the top at all. And I think at least Juve didn't test them. Juve is not going to spring a counter on you and catch you off guard or anything like that. Maccabi Haifa showed that they do have pace and ability to do that, but they're lacking on quality in the finish. Benfica is probably the most well-rounded team after PSG in this group, in the sense that they will force PSG to show a little bit of defensive discipline, because they have quality, fast players that can break on you, like Neres, who got a goal yesterday for Benfica. So PSG they're still big favorites against Benfica, but they will have to at least respect and show some type of defensive structure so that they can win this game. And I think obviously Benfica could snag a point over these two legs. They could snag a point. I think PSG will get either 4 points or 6 points. But honestly, if Benfica snags a point and both games are competitive, that's not bad for Benfica.
Yeah, agreed. And I think Benfica could even snag either 2 points or 3. I think it's possible. Is it likely? No, but I think it's possible because
I think 2 points is more unlikely than 3 points, because for 2 points you have to it's 2 games because you have to tie both.
Yeah. No, sure, but that's kind of what I'm saying. I think they either tie one, or they can win one. Yeah, you're right. I don't think they can pull out like a result.
2 ties,
like that.
yeah.
2 ties. Yeah, I agree with that. But I think it's still, in my opinion, possible they come away with more than just 1 point against PSG. And the other thing, they're not just dynamic and fast. They can get gritty, whether it's in the middle or out wide with some of their players. These players, they're hungry and they want to go out there and they want to get the result. And another thing is, when you go to play in Portugal, it's one of those kinds of countries where it's a lot of home support. People are going to show out. It's going to be Benfica is going to kind of have the momentum of the crowd, the 12th player on the field. So it's going to be interesting to see these 2 games that PSG are going to go against Benfica.
Yep. That being said, though, PSG should be walking away with this group based on the first 2 results. Juve seems to be, for Juve, luckily, if they're able to get 6 points off of Maccabi, then they're still alive. Like let's say PSG wins one and ties one against Benfica, then Benfica only has 7 points and Juve will be on 6 points. So it would still be a competition. The difference being that then Juve's remaining 2 games would be PSG and Benfica would have to play against Maccabi Haifa and Juve. So Juve hanging on for dear life. They should win these next 2 games, but it's the Champions League. Little teams come here to show out and they get upsets all the time. So Absolutely. Super excited to see how this group plays out. And thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time.